Hello and welcome to another edition of Shadow of Love. I am Holly, your co-host, intimacy coach, writer, lover of great white sharks, dark chocolate, and all things spooky and supernatural. Here with my good friend Ernest. Hey, Ernest.
Hey, I am Dark Chocolate, and I am the proud co-host of the Shadow of Love podcast with my great and beautiful friend Holly. I am a bartender, a restaurant manager, a Southern cuisine chef, and a lover of all things old and full of soul, and I'm so glad to be here today.
And a thick thigh enthusiast. Don't forget.
Oh, and a thick thigh enthusiast. I almost forget, how could you forget them thighs? That's how
Exactly.
you know I'm getting old. I forgot thighs. Shit. Can't forget
um,
the thighs.
so super excited for our topic today, which is love and history. And especially excited because I'm officially a divorced single woman now, which means a part of my history has now closed. And
Amen.
in the divorce war, I have won.
We lost a lot of good men that day.
So
Oh shit.
it feels good and different to be in this space post marriage. I don't know. It hits a little different to be talking about love now.
You look good. You got a glow on you and shit. Like the end of The Last Dragon when Bruce Leroy is fitting to kick Show Enough's ass. You just glowing out here in this piece right now. Look at you.
Fuck yeah. It's amazing.
Effervescent.
Effervescent.
Effervescent is the word.
So super excited. And yeah, love and history. What is so what are your feelings, Ernest, about understanding someone's history, how you want to communicate around that history? Where do you go when you're starting to date someone? And we'll just start there.
Oh, I just like to ask a lot of questions, right?
Can you
Because
give me an example of something you would ask someone if you were dating them?
I'll ask them straight up if they still have feelings about their exes,
That's a good one.
right? Because you don't want to find yourself in a position, not to be negative, of being a placeholder or a rebound or something like that. So you need to know, I need to know where I stand with you in the present. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because for me, I don't want to be anybody's stunt man, stunt double, or whatever. I want to be the star of the show with my own name on the back of the chair. You feel me? Like I want to be the executive producer, the writer, the star of that bitch. I do not want to be in there, being the fucking production assistant and shit in the relationship. I'm the star of this motherfucker. And if I'm not, then I'm gonna walk off the set.
You need your own
You feel
trailer.
me? I need my own trailer, right? And the food better be right.
Amen.
I mean that. Yeah. So, and it's not, and the thing is too, when you start asking people about their history, you have to know how, like, watch how they react. I don't think everyone should be open from the rip, but I think that there's certain questions that you need to answer to see how the present and the future is going to be, right? Like, so was your last relationship, how'd your last relationship end? Right? How do you feel about that relationship ending? What part of it do you feel you were responsible for in that ending? Whatever. What did you learn from it? Because I most certainly learned from my last previous relationships, right? I go back, I look at the tape, see it's like watching a game, you know what I mean? It's like I'm a coach out this bitch. Like I look at the plays.
Monday morning quarterback for your own life.
I'm a Monday morning quarterback for this shit. Like, oh, I shouldn't have said that shit. I shouldn't have sent that text, or I shouldn't have told her that I loved her that fast. Oh, I can't believe, terrible coaching. Terrible
Stumble.
coaching.
Stumble.
Fumble. Oh, god damn it. Right. So I mean, I tend to ask a lot more questions these days than I used to. When I was younger, I didn't really give a fuck. because I was so busy being in the moment, I didn't care about whatever happened in their past or whatever, unless it presented itself, in the relationship that I was in or whatever. Because everybody's had those relationships where they weren't quite over their ex or whatever, and you find yourself in these situations where two becomes three real fast, but you don't know there's three. You think you a two. Nah, dude, you're a three. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta that's weird, fucked up math, but it happens all the time. So I'm I ask more questions now because I always want to know where I stand. Before we do this we shit, I need to know where I stand with you. And if you can't be sincere about it, then I'll fucking walk. Like, I'm just out. Can't do it. I wish you whatever. You know what I mean? But like, I'm certainly not going to be involved in a situation I'm going to feel like I'm less than number one. I got to be number one. So, and once you start asking the hard questions, if they start getting kind of evasive with the answers, that's a red flag. For me, that's a red flag. If you can't, because I'll interview you like the feds. I ain't gonna interview you like a dirty cop and shit and beat you up and like hit you with a phone book and shit. I'm gonna appeal to your logic, right? We're gonna sit down. I'm gonna ask you a set of questions, and based on these questions, we're gonna see if we're gonna go forward or not, right? Real logical questions. Hey, did you cheat? What are your feelings on cheating? Well, have you done this? Because I've done this. I felt like shit when I did it, but I did it, right? Or this made me feel good. I'm gonna ask these questions, right? And if you feel like you're getting grilled, if you get evasive, if you get like, I don't know why you're asking me all these questions, bitch, I'll tell you why I'm asking these questions so I don't get surprised later. Because I
Right.
have been surprised later. Ooh, I hate being surprised later. So I don't dig surprises all like that. Like I don't even like surprise parties, right? So I need to be armed with the information so I can at least make a fair assessment of how far I'm willing to go with a person.
I think it's actually, in my opinion, being transparent and open is a form of mutual consent to some degree, right? Because you are giving that person all the information that they need to make an informed choice, which really is what consent comes down to as well, right? It's about having the power to make that choice for yourself. And I feel that when people either skirt information or just withhold it with the hope that maybe you won't figure it out, it really speaks to their character and how they might potentially, behave in whatever you're forging with that person. And this is a very hard lesson I personally learned in the last 4 years, which I feel I can talk a little bit more openly about at this particular point in time, right? So for me, there were instances in my last relationship where, in particular, my former spouse had, like a female friend and did not divulge to me from the get-go that they had personal physical history, right? And whether it had been done for a while, there was still history. And just the whole way things were approached felt off to me. It's like, oh, I'm gonna go have dinner with this person. And it started to feel like a little bit of a date type thing, even if there wasn't any kind of actual, interaction of that sort. And so it's like, you can't date me and like platonically date someone else that you potentially could fall into something like that's just messy to me. It's so messy, don't do it. So I don't know. And when I found out, I was fit to be tied and I was angry because I found out at a point where we were on a trip, and there was a friend of mine who was part of a group of people that we were, associated with. And I let him know up front. I said, this is someone that I have history with. I just want you to be aware of it. There's nothing there. There's no emotion. There's no feeling. We're still friends, but I don't want you to have to guess at that or you know what I mean? Because there is, I think, sometimes just a different level of comfort that you have with people when you interact with them. If you have some kind of level of history, does that make sense? Like, it's just,
Oh, absolutely.
you know, so, and I, you know, I aim to be super respectful in my relationships, and I aim to really communicate as effectively as I can. And so I was just very open about that. And it ended up actually causing some shame. He was not comfortable, you know, having that information. And then we got in an argument, and I brought up his friend and was like, well, I have sensed, because this was months later, that there is this situation here. And that's when he finally told me. And it's like, I should have known about this months ago. And then it created further conflict, because then that relationship for me became a problem in our relationship, because I didn't feel comfortable. You know, there were no set boundaries. Well, boundaries in that was a whole, I'm not going to go there. He didn't have boundaries to begin with. So
No.
So that stuff just makes it really messy. And then there were some other things where, like, he loaned that person money behind my back and didn't tell me, like little things like that. Like, that is not a good way to build trust. Huge fucking red flag. So if people can't be honest with you, like you said, about what, you know, what that context is. And the thing of it is like, I don't really care if you have history with someone, as long as you're honest about it. And I know that that history is done. To me, that didn't feel done, and it felt flirtatious at times. And that to me was just not respectful of me as his partner, if that makes sense. Right.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah. And so
Right.
I think that you're spot on. I think that you really have to get, you know, and I wish that there were questions like that I had thought to ask in this previous relationship from the get-go, because I take people on what they tell me and their word. I won't do that anymore. Like, I'm like you, it's now become like, bring references. I want to talk to, you know, the last person you dated and do a run. It's like a clearance check for me as far as that goes moving forward. And not because, you know, it's scrutiny to be judgmental or to make people feel uncomfortable. But I think that if you really want, as an intimacy coach, if you really want to have really good intimacy with people, you just have to be honest, and you have to be able to deal with that messiness and come to a consensus and negotiate that fairly, right? And just be prepared that if you're in a relationship, that sometimes the dynamics you have with other people that you have history with may need to change at points. But it's all negotiable. But it starts with a conversation, and it starts with just being upfront about those things. And especially if you're in a smaller place, you know, like where I live, it's like maybe 80,000 people, but you see the same fucking people everywhere. So that adds a whole other layer of like, and Pittsburgh can be like that too, though, for real.
Oh,
So
don't I know it.
Ernest isn't safe on Penn Avenue on any.
I am not safe on Penn Avenue. Shit.
So I think just taking those things into account, and like, if you know that that's going to be something where there's a presence, then you really need to deal with your stuff and be an adult, and just be an adult about it and let it out there. I mean, that said, is there anything that you feel in terms of history that you wouldn't disclose?
To be honest with you, somebody used to say to me a long time ago, everything ain't for everybody. Some things are just, you know, the government don't tell you everything. So why should I? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm open to a point. And this is just me, this is me as a person being honest. I'll tell you a lot, but I may not tell you everything. Right? If I think that everything, if you ask me about a woman, for instance, because like something happened to me, like this was years ago. I had a friend and we were on and off together or whatever. But we were always like breakup buddies. Nothing would happen, you know, as far as like we would just hang out together. you know, just on some commiserating type shit or whatever, just good company, you know, supportive of each other and whatever that is. And I just broke up with a woman, but I'd met this woman whom I ended up dating because of her, kind of. She gave me her phone number, and I was kind of reluctant to call her because, like, I'm just going through just got this bad, messy relationship, and I didn't really feel like talking to anybody at the moment. But you know, she was gorgeous and really sweet, and she checked a lot of boxes. But I was just reluctant to just pick up the phone and talk to her. And I went to dinner with my friend. I was talking about this woman. Now, the woman that I was with, again, like we have history. So we went shopping and everything, just kicking it. And we get back to my place, and she's like, you should something weird happened between her and I, whatever. And we're like, nah, we ain't going down that goofy road again. Like we kind of like laughed that shit off. And she was like, you should give that woman a call. She's like, you should go in the house and you should call her right now and just talk to her or whatever. Turns out I fell in love with this woman. It was, we had a beautiful relationship until it wasn't. But if it hadn't been for my friend, my homegirl hadn't told me to call her, I probably wouldn't have called her. Right? To be quite honest with you, probably wouldn't have called her. We ended up talking on the phone on God, we talked on the phone for like 8 hours on the phone, like pulling a whole work day on the phone. Right? So, and it turned into something beautiful until it wasn't. Cut to about it, maybe like a year into our relationship, a good friend of mine was having his birthday party, and she was going to be at the party. So me and my girlfriend go to the party. I introduced them to each other. They hit it off. Oh, they just had a great time together, right? They were fast friends. Had a great time at the party. And sometime on the evening on the way home, we're going home. And she was like, oh, your friend is great. She's, this, she's that, she's pretty, this, she's like, she just seems like a really awesome person. But yeah, she's great. I've known her for years. It's my homegirl. And my girlfriend at the time, she asked me, she was like, I can't see how you guys never dated. And I was like, shit, right? Like, fuck me, Francine. Now I gotta, you know, let the cat out the bag and shit. So I was like, it's funny that you would say that because, we actually dated before. You know, we've tried that shoe on before. And, sometimes it fit, sometimes it didn't. And, we're just friends. We just decided to stay friends and shit. So not to make it all messy. And she was like, so you guys went out, like dated? I'm like, yeah, we dated, right? And something, I guess it didn't land right. Uh, It bugged her or whatever for a minute. It bugged her for a while because it came back up. She was like, so you guys like had sex? I was like, yes, we dated. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. We dated. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. But like we're friends because that didn't work out or whatever. And something about it she just didn't like. So, but I don't regret that I didn't tell her. I don't regret that I told her rather, because if she would have found out from somebody else down the road, she would have thought that maybe I'm harboring something for later. Like maybe, I can revisit this on a later date, whatever. So in that moment, I was glad that I was being honest, even though she was uncomfortable for a while, but had to accept whatever. So, and my thing, I've seen her around her exes. I don't trip on. Here's the thing about me. I was raised by a real man. And what I mean by that is like, and I got real men in my family, and big up to them. So I don't really react, like being that I was raised by my dad. This is something that's come up recently and shit I saw. It's like, oh, that's why sometimes I respond that way. I don't trip on other men. I don't make any time or space for exes, right? Like, I'm never going to try to be in a situation to consider an ex's feelings because fuck their feelings. I'm a grown man, and I'm a grown straight man. And I'm saying this to say that I'll never consider the feelings of another man in my current relationships ever. I'm not built like that. Not your man, not your ex-girlfriend. I don't care. I'm not here to consider their feelings any way whatsoever. at all. I don't care about other dudes. There's a reason why they're your ex. So I'm never going to do anything or go out of my way to accommodate a motherfucker. Like if I walk into a restaurant and your ex is there, if the veal is good, bitch, this is where we eating because I came here for veal.
Well, exactly. And I can remember in my previous relationship, when my ex had loaned this particular person money and I found out about it, I was obviously like not happy. And I was like, well, you know, this was our money, first of all, because we were married, our money, and you didn't tell me. And you need to go and get our money back at some point. And I can remember him coming home and saying, you know, I saw this person today and I asked about getting repaid. And he was like, you know, she's really sad that she's not going to be invited to our wedding. I don't give a flying fuck what she was feeling at any particular moment in time. I had not met this person. It had never been brought up to me that like, hey, I would like to introduce you to this friend, or my friend would like to meet you. Like she would only solely ask out my ex-husband. And that to me is just no good. And I really try with my male friends to be if you know they're in relationships, because I know what that feels like, and I want to make sure that whoever they're with knows like I understand the boundaries and we are, you know, we're friends and I'm safe to be around your people, you know.
Yeah, like I don't have any plans for this shit. Like I ain't waiting in the wings or nothing like that. Like this is just my homie. They
Right.
just got titties.
So that irked me so badly that it was like this, you know, just the gall to come to me after you did some shit behind my back and then talk to me about someone else's feelings in the process who weren't part of the equation. Like red flags, people, red flags. You should really, I have learned, follow the red flags. It's like follow the bouncing ball. If you see it, it's going to lead you and you know where it's going, and just like get out now.
See something, say something.
See something, say something.
Fuck that. Don't be letting that shit ride. Don't let that shit gain interest. For
Exactly.
real. Do not let bullshit gain interest. I'm not saying that like I'm a relationship guru, but like I'm the kind of person like if I see something I don't like these days, I think before in the past, I let some shit slide. And when you let some shit slide, people think they can do more of that shit. Right. And then they think that that's just like the natural flow of the relationship is some bullshit that they can lay on you. So you got to nip that shit in the bud or walk or just walk. Here's the thing. If I was married for a long time and my single friends that were like in relationships, they were having problems in their relationships. They would do this bullshit. If you're married and you listen to single people, it's all they say is bullshit because like you're doing time, right? Like I'm, I'm locked into this shit, right? I am doing hard time out here. I'm in the mine doing hard time, and you up top walking to the fucking garden, right? With somebody's hand, you can just let go. So they would say goofy shit like, you know, well, we're just trying to make it work. I'm like, walk. There's another motherfucker out there for you. Like for real, there is another motherfucker. Like when you're single, know that there are motherfuckers for you out there in them streets. Right? You are never gonna be alone long. For real. I don't give a fuck what she look like or he look like or they look like. You
There's
can
someone,
always bounce.
there's someone for everyone, or multiple people for, there's billions of people in the world.
There's
Billion.
billions of motherfuckers.
Yeah.
So like for me, I was sitting there listening to him talk this bullshit because it was all bullshit to me. And you know, it comes across as me being inconsiderate to their present state. And it just wasn't because I'm like, man, you don't know. Like when you're married, you got to go home to this bitch and get hit in your head with bullshit with no hard hat on. When you're single, you can just quit that job. You can quit, right? I'll help you move your couch, right? But when you're getting divorced, oh, there might be a couch move, but there's also going to be legal fees. See,
Or
it's different.
you might cut the couch in half.
I might cut the couch in half. You never know. You never know, you know what I'm saying? So like for me, I think the level of shit that single people do to try to stay together sometimes is is dumb as hell. I'm not saying that relationships are disposable because we live in a current time where people make decisions by like, swiping. Excuse me. They make decisions that fast based upon, you know, some shit on the internet and they give a thumbs up or something, whatever the fuck these young people do. I don't know. I don't care. I still hunt for mine. I get mine fresh. You know what I'm saying? Still like to hunt. So what I'm getting at is like when single people give me that bullshit when I was married, I would just be like, man, just cut her loose. Cut them loose. There's somebody else out. You don't have to experience long-term bullshit. You don't, right? Like I was talking to my therapist not too long ago because I fucking hate my job and everybody there, right? And you know that I hate my job, my current job. The money's good, but I'm realizing the older I get, money's not everything. Having peace of mind is fucking priceless, right? Talk to my therapist, and she's like, she said, so have you quit your job? Have you got another job? And I said, no, I haven't got another job. And she was like, well, why not? You hate that place. You hate how you feel when you're there.
You know
And I said,
who else says that to Ernest pretty much every week?
yeah. I said, I don't know, I really like on my off days, I really haven't gotten up and just, got another gig. And I'm like, for what I do, I'm well known in this city and I can easily get another job. I can walk off a job and get another job real quick. I've literally done it before. And so she said to me, she was like, you're treating your job like you treated your marriage. And I was like, what do you mean? Right. And this is something I'm saying this on this podcast to share with other people. Like, I'm not perfect or whatever. Like sometimes the shit I say, I don't practice sometimes, just to let everybody know I'm not a hypocrite. I'm like a mega church pastor. Like I know who Jesus is, but I also like, Sister Johnson on the usher board too. You might see me with her at Red Lobster or some shit. Don't mean I'm perfect. So she said, you're treating your job like you treated your marriage. I was like, what do you mean? She was like, you're staying too long.
Ooh.
You're staying too long. And she's like, I'm gonna tell you why you're staying too long. And I hope this just to help other people. She's like, you were married and you were unhappy. And she's like, your wife was unhappy too. And you're treating your job just like that. You're sticking around in some bullshit for too long. She's like, you know why? Because you were in your marriage for too long and you put up with bullshit for too long, and they put up with bullshit for too long. Because when you're married in a bad marriage for too long, you can tolerate bullshit more than a regular person can. Your job is your new marriage. And I said, bitch,
I need a divorce.
just like that. I need a divorce. I need a divorce. I need to divorce my job. Right.
God damn.
So like,
Your
yeah,
therapist
fuck
is
me
great.
up. Yeah. Yeah. Big up. Fuck me up. Right. And I was like, I had to think about that because I felt convicted. Right. I felt real convicted that I still have, and this is just me talking, you know, doing this show, we decided to do what you just share. And like this is a disclaimer. We're not perfect. We are not therapists. We are not experts at this shit. We do this shit to share hijinks in hopes that people realize that, sometimes the shit they do is just normal shit and we all go through it. So, if you need professional help, please seek professional help. We are not professionals. But like just finding out that like even though I'm making really good emotional strides right now, it's good to have a therapist because see, your homies will say something like, man, you need to get another job. Right. But your therapist will say, let me tell you why you still got that job. Like, and then you're like sitting there saying, fuck. Right. Best $100 a week I spend. So, I'm still finding out that going through everything that I'm going through, which is it's getting better by the day. It really is. Looking at where I started last year to now, I think and you've known me for years. So I think I'm in a better place. I still make some poor decisions sometimes, but like not as many as I used to or whatever.
Yeah.
So
I think you've definitely shown a lot of growth and the capacity to take the lessons you've learned and actually apply them. I mean, nobody's ever perfect with the execution. I think that's the key. We're human and sometimes we falter and fail, and sometimes our patterns still get the best of us because a lot of it is breaking patterns. I know for myself, I definitely feel light years away from the person I was at this time last year, for sure. And that's just the byproduct of really taking an entire year by myself to just like learn how to love myself again, because I don't really want to be fucking around with other people until like and I feel like I have that down now. So now I can actually start to date or do whatever the fuck I want to do. But having that perspective and then really looking at what my contributions were to get me to a place where my relationship was that bad. What, like you said, what did I allow? What was I okay with, just turning my head away from in the interest of trying to preserve something with someone? And was it COVID because we were stuck together? Was it because at some point I lost some self-esteem and was, anxious about what was going to happen if I was alone? I think as a woman, I will say that I feel that I am very fortunate that I had the fortitude and strength to be able to say no, because I think there are a lot of women who just stay in relationships for so many reasons that are part of our cultural bandwidth in terms of, I can't leave because I don't have the financial means to go, or I gave up pursuing my education or career because we had a family and now I'm in a place where I would literally be starting at the bottom, right? There's
yeah, and
real
that's all
fear.
part of history,
It
right?
is.
Like it's all like all the shit that you do like in the past really does affect where you are and how you respond in the moment, right? And how you treat people that you want to love and want to get closer to, or you want to have in your life as far as a romantic pursuit and those kind of things, man. People don't realize there's relationship PTSD.
Oh
You
yeah.
know what I mean? I'm not talking about like like violence in a relationship or in the home. I'm not talking about, like I suffered these traumatic things that make me behave in a certain way. I'm talking about just like relationship shit, like, how you respond in an argument or in a disagreement, or how you even how you make love to somebody, right? Everybody's different, but you can't pull your old stunts, right? Like I can't do the shit with my current partner that I used to do with my ex-wife, right? Two different people. Like, the shows are different. You know what I mean? This just is two different people, whatever. So it's like you got to relearn shit, right? And there might be some shit that you used to like to do that they don't like, right? That's all part. It literally is all part of history.
Or
So
it's
I'm,
going to
I'm really, really.
different with somebody else, right? It's
It's gonna
just,
hit different.
yeah.
It's gonna hit different for real. Like, get your toe out my mouth. I don't like that shit. I don't do feet. You know what I'm saying? Like I do the most, but I just don't do feet. There's a couple places I don't do, period. But like it's like unlearning and relearning. Like I'm really bad at boyfriending right now. And I tell you why. Because I haven't been somebody's boyfriend in 16 years. You feel me? Like I ain't really been out there like that in a minute. So being a boyfriend is totally different than being a husband, right? Husband is routine. You know what I'm saying? Husband is like, oh, meatloaf tonight. It's Tuesday. I know I'm getting meatloaf, right? You know that shit. Or you just know how there's a rhythm of marriage that's different from the rhythm of a relationship. They're just different. They sound different. Marriage, relationship, two different words, and they're totally different. Like I've told people who were in relationships for a long time and got married and the shit fell apart when I was on my first marriage. And I told a friend of mine, like, yo, marriage is different than relationships, right? The level of execution and demand is just different. And when he got married and got divorced, he was like, oh shit, you was right about that. I'm like, I told you, motherfucker, like it's just different. So what I'm doing is like, I'm trying to really get out of my past. I'm really trying to get out, and it's a struggle. I think it's a struggle for a lot of people, like divorcees, when they first get back out in these streets or whatever, first start dating again, because dating is still relatively new for me, right? And being in an exclusive relationship is new to me or whatever. I'm digging it. I'm digging the person that I'm with, but however, I still do some husband shit, right? And I don't know if it's complacency or whatever it is. So I'm still trying to figure. I'm really fucking struggling with this one, trying to figure this shit out, whatever. I really am. But it's like me just it's like I'm just trying to get out of my past, right? So I can be in this present moment with this person without, you know, behaviors and baggage that are my history, right? I'm doing this thing where I'm like, I treat people like they're new, you know what I mean? And I'm trying to be new in this kind of space of where like, you know, going through a divorce or whatever, and I'm older and I'm getting set in my ways. I didn't realize how much age has something to do with this shit. Age and impatience go hand in hand, right? And I'm learning that I am also not a mind reader, right? Not a mind reader. I am not a mind reader. And, you know, I think that women expect me to pick up on things that a boyfriend would pick up on, but a husband is like, man, figure that shit out, bitch. You know what I mean? Like, it's just how it is. It's a certain kind of complacency that in marriage that's different because you can be complacent in a marriage for a long time. But I think in relationships, you have to act with more sense of urgency to like make sure that this person's needs are met in a way that they're happy with. Marriage, you can drag your feet for a minute. Relationships, that's like microwave popcorn. And I'm still trying to figure that shit out. Still trying to figure that one out.
Would you
Like,
say that like a better framework for marriage would be trying to keep it more like it is a newer relationship then?
yeah. It's like Chris Rock said, if it ain't new, it's through. He said that years ago. And I missed that one or let it go. I don't, you know what I mean? Like being divorced it is what it is. But yeah, I think if you want to keep it fresh, you gotta treat your marriage with more sense of urgency. You know what I mean? Like stop having meatloaf on Tuesday night.
Right,
You know what
right,
I'm saying?
right.
Stop having sex. Don't schedule sex, which is weird.
I think scheduling, see, I disagree with you because I think that using time can be a really good manipulator for eroticism because it can create a space where there's, you know, expectation and anticipation. The key is it's not like you're just like, oh, okay, well, let's do Thursday at 6 again. It's like consciously being like, we have this time. How do we want to spend it? What do we want to do with it? What can we do new? What can we try? Like it can be something where you can really bring a lot of experimental elements into it. I think if you make it mundane, it's going to be mundane. Anything can be made mundane, you know, just by the sheer repetition and lack of attention. But taking something like that kind of framework and really making it something where it can be exciting and fun, I think can actually be really beneficial. Plus, you know, I think it can lend to some greater joy and happiness because if you know that you're going to have this time and that's something that you can expect where you're going to have some kind of pleasurable experience, it's better than I feel spontaneity where a million and one things could go, and then you're not getting anything at all, right? So, or if you commit to that time, regardless of what the stance of your relationship is at any point, then it's going to force you to communicate. So like, no matter how pissed you are, you're still going to fucking get together on that Thursday at 6, you know, and try to make something happen. So I disagree with you on the scheduling. I think that it depends on how you approach that. But I do think that you have to take the time to learn from whatever you've experienced and be able to process that and figure out a way to reformulate it. And give yourself some grace and patience that it's not going to come right away, that you might make mistakes, you might overlook things, you might fall back into a pattern because you're still learning to unbreak some of those things. And just give yourself some kindness with that process. I think for me, the most interesting part is, especially having spent this year alone, you know, I was in a marriage where I felt like we had really decent physical chemistry, but I feel much more comfortable and free now in potentially exploring things that I probably wouldn't have felt as safe exploring in my marriage, because we had a dynamic where, you know, there wasn't transparency all the time, right? So for me, it's really hard to allow that kind of intimacy and safety develop if you can't be honest with me and upfront and just be that person, you know, that you hopefully as a partner are expecting to have. I don't know if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense.
But now I'm on my own and I'm like, well, fuck it. Like, I want to take a class on Shibari. Like, I have things that I want to do and explore for myself. And just having that freedom to be like, well, I can really, at this point, kind of pick and choose who I might want to have those experiences with. And recognizing like how much I allowed myself to be held back by the expectation of what I felt, or how far I felt that dynamic could go based on what the relationship was, right? You don't realize how much you're being held back sometimes, I think, until you get past the gate. And then you're like, damn, my fucking legs have been tied for a long time. You know, like I've been hogtied, not in the way that I want to be.
Yeah, not in the way that you want to be hogtied.
That I want to be. So that part for me has been interesting. Like the day that we, you know, did like our divorce settlement, I swear to God, like I've struggled with kind of reclaiming my sexuality this past year. And as you know, like I was celibate for a year and I wasn't dating and really focused on myself. But part of that was just I didn't feel in touch. And like the day that settlement dropped, I swear, like my fucking mojo went from like 0 to 100. And now it's just been the day the divorce dropped, fucking astronomical. I'm like, where the fuck have you been? You know, like talking to my own body, like, okay, hey, nice to see you again. Really good that we're in touch. And, you know, I can see that you're feeling better.
You know why? Because you had that divorce running in the back of your head for so long. Like that was just like a background program that's always running until the papers got signed.
Right. So now that's all finalized, and like, oh, like I really have that sense of freedom and just feeling like, you know, I'm out in the world and I can experience it as I want to. And it's a really nice, it's a nice feeling. Where do you stand on knowing people's sexual history in terms of like what they have experienced with people, how many partners they've had? Because I have found that, you know, I'm a little bit of a woman of leisure, and I have
I will take that dick sack.
yeah, I mean, I've taken my allowances, particularly in my 20s and 30s, because I really didn't get into starting to be in more significant relationships till my mid-20s. And I spent solid amounts of years, particularly my college years, really doing whatever the fuck I wanted to. And I have zero regret about that. I feel comfortable in really being as fucking slutty as I want to be at any given time, if that's what I choose. But I know that that's not a comfort spot for a lot of women. And I know that for some men, it can freak them out. And in this last marriage, I can remember having a conversation, and my ex was definitely not prudish and sitting at home, right? So we both had an extensive history, and I had no issue with that. But he told me that he hesitated because when we had that conversation about like what our experiences had been, it like hit him a little bit different, which is to me a double standard, right?
There's always going to be that's the thing. There's always going to be a double standard in the game. It doesn't matter how far we progress as we're still not too far away from, like I said this a long time ago when we first started the show. We're just
one iPhone away from Unga Bunga. That's it. It was like, we're still backwards as people. We just are. We're still on some chimp shit. So
there's always going to be that double standard.
you know what I mean? I just, it's unfortunate, but it's true. And I think that as far as like people's sexual histories go, I like, me. So I'm not here to judge anybody for their past or whatever. Like I'm grown as hell. Like I'm a grown ass man. And so by the time you in your 30s and 40s, late 40s, you know what I'm saying? Don't be asking questions that are gonna make you uncomfortable. Somebody else fucked her before you did. Enjoy fucking her now. That, as crass as that sounds, it's the truth. Don't start asking questions. Don't start being goofy. One thing I don't like if a woman does, if she says something about her past or whatever, don't ever tell me about great sex. Right? Don't tell me about great sex you had, because to me, I don't want to have the vision of somebody railing you in my head. Right? Let me enjoy you right now. I don't want to hear about your sexual history all like that, because at this age, we've all done. I'm 49 years old. If I didn't do it, it's because I didn't like it and it wasn't meant to be done for me. Right? So I don't judge anybody on having multiple partners or whatever. I'm not big on like, I ain't doing no poly. I don't do all this new wave shit. I don't, I'm a straight black dude that was, raised in the church and in the street. So I'm kind of meat and potatoes about a lot of shit. I'm a dinosaur, but it's like I'm still learning how to, I was raised by dinosaurs. I told you, I say this shit a lot.
You're a hipster
right?
dinosaur.
I'm a hipster dinosaur, right? In my skinny jeans, drinking double bourbons at Kelly's, right? Judging motherfuckers. Nah, just being honest. Like, so I'm real old school. Like, I'm an 8-track. I'm an 8-track out here. You know what I'm saying? I'm just being honest. But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I've dated women who were bi. I've dated women who were queer. I've dated different kinds of women. You know what I mean? I don't care about that shit. It's how I feel about you that matters, right? In that moment. Your past, if your past gets in my face, I might have to chip your past teeth. Or if you still want to go back to something that you think that you're missing in your past, I'm gonna let you go.
Right.
Or whatever.
Well,
But
I think you can have conversations about things that work for you in intimacy and sexual activities.
Oh, absolutely.
Without like dredging up like people's names in specific
Yeah.
areas, you know what I mean?
Because older dudes, I'm an older black dude, right? I can finally admit to saying that shit. I'm an older black dude. We don't want to hear about it because, like I said, we'll start asking questions. We might get insecure about some shit. We might feel some kind of way about something, right? I've been with my lady and out, and I'm like, I know this happened with that person or whatever the fuck, but I don't respond to it. You know what I mean? Because like I'm comfortable. Like I said, that's history shit. I'm present, right? As long as history don't interrupt my present, I'm cool with it or whatever. If there's something in your past that's traumatic or whatever, I think that, and this, I don't want to, how can I say this? I've met a lot of women that have had traumatic things happen to them in their past. or whatever. And sometimes they share it too late. I think it will be better if a woman can, or if a man can, or whatever the case may be. I think it will be better, as far as history is concerned, to share that up front, or as soon as possible, because these traumas, and I'm super sensitive about this, because like these traumas happen to a lot of people, right? So, and I think it also affects how intimacy plays into it because of trauma. So I want to know this, because I need to know, like, if I want to pursue this, because sometimes people that have suffered certain things, men and women, um, aren't as capable of being as expressive as they want to be, certain ways.
I would agree with that. I think it comes down to a couple of things. It comes back to that initial point we discussed about having all the information, right, so that you can really make an informed decision, which to me is a product of consent, essentially. So you can't really consent to do or be with someone if you don't have all the information that you need to make a decision about that. I would say too, I think that there's a give and take with that. I think that men need to work on understanding how to receive, from women, what, like, those conversations. I think that men need to learn how to hear women when they're talking about trauma, and be able to be compassionate and sensitive and thoughtful to that, and create a safe space so that women feel that they can open up about that, because it can be really difficult, with new people, especially when you don't quite know them yet, to know what they're about, to understand that they're a safe place where you can divulge that information. And some of it, honestly, is just because I have a history of trauma. I talk about it openly, and I've spent an extensive amount of time working on that for myself in therapy, so that I don't bleed on other people. I think it really also comes down to shame, and we shame people in our society, I feel, in a lot of levels, about having traumatic histories and pasts, and about what that means. And I mean, you think about the fact that, I don't know if it was the 90s or the 80s, when that one movie came out with Jodie Foster, where she's, The Accused, where she's raped in the bar, and how groundbreaking it was that it was a film that showed that kind of sexual violence portrayed in a very kind of accurate way. But we really, like, how far have we really come from that? And the fact that that was just like, what, 30, 40 years ago. So I think there's still a lot in culturally and with society where women haven't hit a point where they feel really safe sometimes talking about those things. And they worry that, if I say this to someone, even if I've worked on myself, is that person going to see me as damaged, and are they going to turn around and walk away then, which in a way can create more trauma, right? Especially if part of your trauma. So I think there's a lot of layers to those things. So I think on one hand, partners need to be more forthcoming, but I think that people who are receiving that information also have to have compassion, have to be able to detach from it a little bit, and have to be able to just receive it and have a conversation. And I do agree. I think that some people go through things and then they don't manage them, and they don't deal with them. I was married to someone who didn't manage and deal with their trauma at all, and it bled all over me. And so I've been there, and it's really important to take care of your shit like that. So I think there's something to be said about getting that information, and sometimes it takes time to tease some of that out. But it is hard if it's someone you like and you would like to maybe pursue that for a while, but you feel that, you're out of your depth. But I think the most mature thing to do then is to tell someone, like, I really feel like I'm out of my depth, but I like you. can we somehow find a way to work through this, you know, utilizing some professional tools, or, you know, maybe
But
you,
that's the thing. But that's what I'm getting at. When once it gets to that level, that's a lot to start in a relationship,
it is.
because that's like me trying to help you. I, if I didn't break you, I ain't trying to fix you. And I'm not saying that in a sensitive kind of way. I'm saying that like it's a relationship, and then we gotta fix. I gotta the onus of me. It shouldn't be up to me to help fix you. And
Well, no,
I'm saying this for a couple reasons. As a dude, as a dinosaur or whatever, in my skinny jeans and my Chelsea boots. Sometimes I've been in dating situations where when I found out that this person was traumatized in a certain kind of way, I didn't realize that they were passing the savings of what happened to them on to me. Like if you come out of I will never date another woman who's coming out of an abusive relationship. Not, I mean, coming out of one, because sometimes, I'm not saying all the time, but I'm saying I've experienced relationships. My experience in relationships like that have not been good. So I myself wouldn't do it again.
I think that's something that's fair to you in terms of evaluating, like, what is my capacity for being able to handle this particular situation.
Yeah, because I had to figure out why a person would say goofy shit to me, right? Just goofy shit. And I'm like, and I caught myself accepting some goofy shit being said to me. And I did this thing in my head. I did some emotional and moral gymnastics, right? Where I accepted something that this person had said to me, right? And then I immediately tried to change or improve on something that didn't need to be fixed with me, because I was okay with how I am, right? But I'm like, why is this person talking to me this way? And then my inner man spoke up and said, no, motherfucker, why are you accepting being spoken to like this? And I thought the part of the root of it was she's coming out of an emotionally abusive relationship. So she doesn't know how to communicate well because she hasn't been communicated well, too.
Exactly.
And feelings don't matter sometimes in abusive relationships like that. So I was like, I'm fitting to bounce. Right. And I stood on that because I'm like, why am I making excuses to be with this person or have this person in my life?
Right.
Right. When they couldn't be open and they couldn't be completely honest or whatever about things. But then I'm being called and treated not totally bad or whatever, but it didn't taste right to me.
Right.
Right. It just did not taste right. So I had to get the fuck out of that situation. And in the relationships that I had that were really bad, looking back on how it tracks, I'm not saying this for everybody. I'm saying this for me going forward. Depending upon the severity of the abuse or whatever that happened to them, the trauma, let's just say trauma, was the worst relationships I think I've ever been in. Right? To be honest with you. I'm not saying that, I'm not saying that these people were bad people. I'm saying that they didn't know how to treat people right because they were used to not being treated right historically themselves. So, as far as I'm concerned, going forward, everybody got passed. Everybody has some bad things that have happened to them for sure, unfortunately. But if you're not getting help for that, if you don't have that in the right place, and if you're not working on it or whatever, like you said about bleeding on the people, you could bleed on the people by saying stupid shit to them and not realize you're saying something stupid and hurtful to them
Right.
because you've been in bad situations. So that's the only way you know how to communicate is in a bad situation, or you just communicate in bad situations. So I don't think I'd ever date a woman again. She'd have, like I said, like, let me know how hurt you are and what are you doing to try to fix it
I think
before I
that's
make up some decisions.
I think that's fair because like I said, it's judging your own capacity based on your own history and what you feel comfortable with. And, I know, like, for myself, my capacity is that I would not want to date someone who has a history of substance use and misuse if they don't recognize that they have that issue and that it's an active thing that you have to work on continuously, and B, they're not doing anything about it. Like, that's a no-go for me right from the gate. And so I think that's about drawing boundaries around, again, what your capacity is, what you're comfortable with, what you know for yourself. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it's just communicating things with compassion and grace and kindness, and letting people know when you can't meet those expectations. But it's not worth it unless this is someone that you're really committed to being with. That's going to be a hard path. Now, if you're committed, then I would suggest trying to work through some of that with a professional, and not for you to do the work, but for you to be there to support them while they're doing the work, so that hopefully you can resolve that. But at the end of the day, nobody knows what any of us are able to kind of walk with, unless they've had a glimpse into what we've walked through, and nobody's going to have that. So it's really about judging what you're capable of and what you feel that you can take on. And so I don't think that there's anything wrong with saying, like, I think this hits too close to home for me, and I've had this experience and I just don't want to revisit that. It doesn't mean that those people aren't worthy of love, but maybe you're not that person to be able to provide that. And ultimately, we want people to be able to find people that are going to resonate for them, and that are going to add something, that feels good as far as love goes, and not something where you maybe feel like you are consistently having to walk on eggshells or evaluate like what you're doing all the time.
That's why I think the sexiest words that like when I meet a woman, I think the sexiest words, it's like 4 words that are just beautiful for me to hear. I have a therapist. That's fucking sexy as fuck to me. Like, oh, you are working on your shit? Cool.
Right?
Cool. You out here working on your shit. And you look good. All right then. You like Italian food?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? For real. Like, I fucks with people who, like, yo, if you know that you're, I've dated people where I was like, yo, you should get a therapist, cuz like that's a lot right there.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that because, like, I have gone through a lot, that I've seen out here in these streets. So I'm like, I'm cool with having a therapist. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I don't think it's a sign of weakness. If your car is broke down, you take it to a mechanic. If something's going on in your head, you need to get that shit fixed.
Yeah.
Right. And it goes back to, like, it's all like, set your limit. Really, like, I can only go. I'm not putting on the Captain Save-A-Ho uniform no more. If I see the Captain Save-A-Ho sign and in the sky, I'm not flying towards that motherfucker no more. I'm not. I'm too old, and I can't lift everything like I used to because my back hurt emotionally. My emotional back is all kinds of fucked up, right? So I'm not lifting anything heavy. I'm not doing no more work out here. And I'm not saying it to sound bitter or nothing like that, but you get to a certain age when you want to date, I don't think you should have to do a whole lot, right? And if, like I said, if there's something in their past that you ain't comfortable with, right? If, like, you on Pornhub and you see your girl in the Bukkake video and she
I can't with you.
Oh shit. You know what I'm saying? You should be way past questions at that point. First off, dude, you should just just get butt naked and just get all the Purell and put it in the tub or something. Like, no, but, like, I be talking shit, but, like, seriously, like, you have to. Something happened recently where I had to tell somebody, like, yo, I don't give a fuck about nobody as long as they don't bother me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not here to make any dude comfortable, man. Like I said before, I'm a us kind of person. I'm either us or me. Pick one.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because, you know, us is a great thing. Me being a me real quick, it might hurt for a minute, right? But being in an I will never be in another uncomfortable us.
Right on.
Fuck that.
Fuck
So
that.
something, no, fuck that shit. Like, you know, the question and answer period of a relationship should be ongoing, right? It should be ongoing. Ask questions, right? Because don't have something that feels wrong, find out later that that shit was wrong.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or like this was an ongoing thing. Like you're saying before, like the truth will hurt, or the truth will feel good, or the truth is just, but it's always going to be the truth. If you just tell me the truth, and any and all things will be good. We could break up good. We could date good. We could sex good. We could hang out good, eat good. As long as what are we having for dinner? Everything got to have a side of truth to it. Just give me the truth. I'm gonna give you the truth too, or whatever. If you ask me. So dealing with like exes and you know, I'm weird. I don't even like if I'm out. If I notice that you have your phone turned over, like, cause I always have my phone face up. I'm weird. I'm really weird. My phone is always face up when I go out. Right? If I'm on a date, my phone is unlocked. Feel free to go through that shit if you want to. So if you have your phone face down too much, I got questions about that.
Right.
It just hits me in a weird way. Right? Or you look at it and turn it back over, like who else is texting you besides me? Like that. Because I'm gonna ask you. Oh, I will ask you,
Right.
right? Because I'm fitting to pay for dinner. So at the very least you could do is, hey, getting a lot of texts. Is some dude texting you?
Right.
Because you can take half this check, right? Because I don't even like fucking stuffed mushrooms all like that. So just, I mean, I'm dead serious, man. Like, I'm not
Just be
the
honest.
thing. Just be honest, because the thing about it, it all boils down to like the most precious thing on earth to me, and it's time.
Right. Don't fuck with my time.
Don't fuck with my time. I spent $2,000 in the month of April on food and beverage. Did you know that? I had a good time until that shit was over, right?
Right.
But don't fuck with my feelings and don't fuck with my time.
Right. Especially at our age where you really just have that sense of what your timeline is looking like. It's not like in your 20s and 30s where it feels it's stretching out endlessly anymore. Like I really don't want to fuck with people that I'm going to have a hassle with. Like, I just don't, that's not what I want to invite for this last, whatever, I guess I'm in the last third of my life. Right. So, well, maybe not yet. Maybe I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle third.
You're in the
Hopefully.
middle. You're just
I'm in middle earth, but by the time I get to the next part, I really don't want to be fucking with that shit. So for now, like I dealt with plenty of that when I was younger, and I allowed a lot more than I think that I really should have in terms of behaviors where people weren't honest, and I'm just not here for it. And I'm going to be really honest with people and direct, and if they can't take that, then that's fine. Then we're not a good fit, and that's okay. So yeah, at the end of the day, it's honesty and time. So either fuck with it or don't, but the choice is yours. And
I
ultimately
mean,
you have to live with
yeah.
it.
Like if we're out and we bump into Earl, I'm like, oh, that's your ex Earl? Oh, I'm not shaking your hand, my dude, because what we got in common, yeah, you know what I'm saying? So like, no, I'm not, I'll say, hey, how you doing? And keep it pushing or whatever. If I notice that you're taking too much time talking to this motherfucker, you know what? You might turn around and Ernest is gone,
Right.
right? Because I'm like, ooh, I think she still got some feeling for Earl because this bitch has been talking for 4 minutes. I don't think an ex gets 4 minutes.
Right.
in a casual passing. You get a, hey, how you doing? Or whatever. Good to see you. This is Ernest or whatever. Yeah, that's him walking away from you right now because he don't give a fuck about you.
You know, it's a different world though now, because you have a lot of people, and we'll have to do a whole other show on this because I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. We'll be here all day. But like people who are in ethical non-monogamous relationships or polyamorous relationships. And so a lot of those friendships are maintained, and then it hits a little different with the ex thing. But we'll talk about that in another
Hitting a little different. Yeah, it does hit a little different.
show.
Yeah, that's why I don't do no poly. If it's not a bird on a pirate's shoulder, I don't do poly.
Uh,
I ain't saying I'm not with it. I'm not. It's just like I said. I really, and it's not about. It's me. It's what I want. Right. It's like sex is like pizza to me. Like I like pepperoni, mushrooms, and sausage. I don't need all the olives and all that shit. And pineapple don't belong on fucking pizza, you fucking savages. I like my shit a certain kind of way, right? I like my dick to be the star of the show, right? My dick to be the star of the show because, like, I kind of like because I ain't saying that everybody got a history, but like I just like mine to be the star. I like one vagina. I like my penis in the same place at the same time. I don't need extra people. I don't need a cheering section and shit. And like, what? Who the fuck got popcorn? I don't need that extra shit. I like one woman, right? I don't even want to do a threesome these days because fuck, I'm too old for that shit, and I'm gonna have to get up and take a pill. Taking a pill taking a pill in the middle of a threesome is just sad, right? Like, ooh, wait a second. Ooh, shit, my chest hurt. Let me go take my pill. Man, you know what I'm saying? That ain't. You know what I'm saying? That's not cute. That is not sexy.
Well,
too hard.
Well, on that note, we're gonna get to wrap up this episode, but I think we should come back and revisit this in the new year because I think there's more to kind of explore and talk about. But kind of to end it, now that we're saying goodbye to 2022 and we're getting ready to welcome 2023, what in terms of like love, history, are you saying goodbye to for this year, and what are you welcoming for this next year? Give me one word for each.
One word that I'm saying goodbye to for this year?
Yeah, in context of love and relationships, what's something
bullshit.
Okay.
I'm saying goodbye to bullshit because I put up with some before and I just refuse to do it ever again at this age, right? Because it's time, right? So I'm saying goodbye to bullshit. Right. And in 2023, I'm going to say hello to optimism. And what I mean by optimism is, going through a divorce can make you cynical. Right. So what I'm going to try to do is it's like shedding a skin. Some people carry divorces for too long. And some people carry the feelings that they had for that other person for too long, and it's a skin that I am slowly shedding. So I'm going to be optimistic about new love and new relationships, new friendships. You know what I mean? I'm going to be more welcoming, and I'm not going to be as cynical as I have been in the past sometimes. And it's not like I'm going to, not how motherfuckers do that New Year's shit, like I'm going to be a new motherfucker. No, you ain't. It's just 12. You still overweight. You still smoke. You're going to smoke later on today. And, you're still a piece of shit, right? Because I am too or whatever. But, like, I'm acknowledging that and I'm going to work on it. So what I'm getting at is I'm just going to really be more optimistic and really believe that, life can get better as you get older. And, your past is your past and you can learn from the mistakes that you made if you're really doing the heavy lifting that you're supposed to do with yourself and constantly working on yourself, while you have somebody in your life. Boom.
Amen. I think for me, I'm saying goodbye to grief. I've spent a year, I think, in grief and grieving and feeling my feels and working on what those feelings mean and how and where some of those feelings have come from outside of, the obvious things. So for me, that is what I am no longer shouldering after this long year. And for me, 2023 is all about pleasure. That's it. Like in every aspect of everything for me, be it just my personal life, the people I spend time with, my family. I want everything to just have an element of pleasure and to feel good. And that is what I am striving for.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
As always, Ernest, it's such a pleasure.
I love you, Holly.
I love you too. And I don't know, maybe this episode's gonna hit right after Christmas, and maybe we can do something a little live before the new year. So y'all just stay tuned to our Instagram page. And if you're in the Santa Fe area, I'm starting an intimacy salon with a fellow coach of mine. So you could check out on Instagram at UnboundNM to get details for that. Thanks to our host, Orgastronomy in Unbound, New Mexico. And as always, if you find yourself in darkness, we hope it's in the shadow of love.